Supreme Court clears way for Trump to pursue mass federal layoffs. We are here again. July 9th of 2025. I have 9:40 in the a.m. How are you? Let's say it together. Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. People, it's happening, and it's happening gradually. Again, Supreme Court clears way for Trump to pursue mass federal layoffs. Washington, D.C. The Supreme Court on Tuesday cleared the way for Donald Trump's administration to pursue mass government job cuts and the sweeping downsizing of numerous agencies. A decision that could lead to tens of thousands of layoffs while dramatically reshaping the federal bureaucracy. Tuesday ruling stemmed from an executive order Trump issued in February, ordering agencies to prepare for mass layoffs. At Trump's direction, the administration has come up with plans to reduce staff at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Commerce, Health and Human Services, State, Treasury, Veteran Affairs, and more than a dozen other agencies. People, it's getting real. In a time where they're keeping it hush-hush, where the government knows full well the economy is shrinking, yet they're telling you we got boatloads of money coming in. Remember this?
Who else is here?
Well, President Milei has a gift for me.
Javier Milei from Argentina. You guys know who that is, right?
Thank you. This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
Chainsaw for democracy. Evidently, they gave a chainsaw to Donald J. Trump. What do you think? Did you hear about it late last night? People, you know, how you going to be efficient when you don't have enough people? That's the argument. And in some states, some cities, it's a legitimate argument. It is a legitimate argument. You ever tried getting something done over the phone lately? Or go online and you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait, then you finally get in touch with someone and you're like, man, I already filed. Can you find my file? They can't find your file. And they never say I'm sorry. They're like, well, let me call you back or email you or send you a letter. Then a few days later you get a call. Oh, let's start the process all over again. I went through that. I'm 66 when I signed up for Medicare. I tell you, it literally had me crying. And then they rush you through the phone. And then some told me they were very honest. I've got other people that I've got to get to. I can't keep explaining what the options are. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I paid my tax dollars. I want to get this right. I want to compare the different possibilities and how much I want to pay. And I mean, it's being deducted out of my check. And people, it's already a problem. You think this doesn't intensify it?
Some breaking news from Washington. The Supreme Court says the Trump administration can carry out its plans to significantly downsize the federal workforce. More than a dozen unions, nonprofits, and local governments had sued, and a lower court had blocked the president from making those changes to federal agencies without congressional approval. But the Supreme Court says the lower court order stopped plans based on the administration's general plans and not on specific plans for agencies. It says it couldn't comment on the legality of those specific plans, but in general, it does believe that the executive order likely is legal. It was an unsigned
Thousands of workers have either been let go or left under early resignation plans. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was the only dissent, warning the decision could gut federal services without any action from Congress. She wrote, "This executive action promises mass employee terminations, widespread cancellation of federal programs and services, and the dismantling of much of the federal government as Congress has created it." Now, departments affected include agriculture, energy, labor, treasury, veterans affairs, and the EPA, along with Social Security and the Small Business Administration. Federal workers we were able to speak to this morning, as you might understand, a lot of them did not want to go on camera because they are concerned about their job. And this is just normally concerned about their job when there isn't anything happening. But now that they potentially could risk losing their jobs, they really did not want to talk. But they did express frustration to us. A lot of them were very concerned and scared about what could come next, about their livelihoods, and just expressed that they thought the Supreme Court would not rule with President Trump and having these resignations and these layoffs happen. But unfortunately, that appears to be the case right now. The president's hiring freeze does remain in effect until mid-October, so we'll have to see how that plays out through the summer months. And while it does clear this big legal hurdle, there are still federal lawsuits and court decisions that still have to come. So it's not completely over from a legal standpoint, but the Supreme Court has...
Yeah, people are fighting back, but there's not much time. I say people are fighting back, but there's not much time. I have said in previous videos a few months ago that because I saw a bloated federal government, let me put it to you like this. I once dated a girl decades ago. She worked for a telecommunications company, and she was all excited about getting her promotion, and she had to move. And so her area of expertise called for her to develop this certain region in the Midwest. And it took her a while to do it, her and other people which were hired. As soon as they got their territory set up with communications, she was let go. And of course, we no longer dated. She went back home. People, America is no different. I have watched this country literally take people with their expertise, fly them out to different parts of the United States, and fly them out internationally to set up territories in different aspects. Then once things were set up, people bought houses, they created families, bought cars, they thought their life was set, and then once the territory was set up, they pulled the rug from out under them. I've seen this for decades. The government is no different. What I theorize is what they did. Big Brother wanted to make his footprint. I'm gonna say it again. Big Brother wanted to make his footprint. He wanted to set everything up. It's like a two-headed snake. On one side, there's a good side, and you have stretched your tentacles around the world, establishing things, making things more efficient, the promise of good service, and being there for the services of the people. The other part of the head is to, again, like I said, develop it basically for control. Once it's set up, you then snatch that opportunity from a person, and then they run scatterly for desperation. We have a simultaneous twist here. We have a shrinking economy, people. The dollar value is bad. Again, they just they just made the debt ceiling, they raised it by $5 trillion. Look, I went online today, like I do every morning, and you guys probably heard about the grocery chain Kroger. Let's venture into that. Let's see. Grocery chain Kroger losing business. Let's see. Grocery chain Kroger going out of business. It's something like that. So they're reduced. I put that in just to be desperate in my conversation. Kroger is not going out of business. However, the company is closing approximately 60 stores nationwide over the next 18 months. The decision is a part of a broader effort to streamline operations and reinvest in core business areas. Because a lot of stuff is online. I can go on and on. I'm sure you have your list also, your grocery list, so to speak. Pardon the pun. But yeah, I read this morning. Kroger. We've got a lot of businesses silently. I have a friend who's been in and out of jobs the last 5 years. The furniture business, it's just going down. So not only do you have the federal government laying off, but the economy stinks so bad, and also because of automation of AI and stuff like that, a lot of things are online. We have a shrinking economy. So the homeowner is going to catch hell. The property owner is going to catch hell. Rents are going to go up. Rents on housing, in terms of apartments. Cost of living is going to slowly increase. It's just simple math. Businesses, they're going to pass that cost on to the consumer or go out of business. And I know they led the charge with, oh, this is waste, fraud, and abuse, But I'm telling you, if you're out here in the world and you're trying to get something done, especially at my age, and you see things, and I have more time on my hands now because I am retired, or semi-retired. Well, no, I'm really not retired because I do this full time now. But the transition into retirement, going to these different agencies, getting in relation to what I put into the system, I had no idea how much of a headache it is. And I get a flurry of emails every week about let's do this, let's do that. People, I'm sure you get it too. I've got a blocker on my phone. Everybody's trying to contact you to make a sale. It's just so ridiculous now. You can tell they're desperate. I went out the other day just for a walk, and I walked past a few businesses, and people are standing outside waving people in their business. And this is a decent area of Chicago that is really affluent. But the business owners were standing outside trying to wave people in to come and shop. And this poor lady, once she was like, well, can you take a sample of what I'm offering? Because I'm desperate. She didn't say desperate. She said, I'm trying to get a sale. People, it's rough out here. And you got to do is drive down a major street that you haven't been down in a while. I call it Bucktooth Island, where you have a lot of businesses which are closed. Not since COVID, just the economy itself is shrinking. The economy is shrinking. Tell me what is happening in your neighborhood. And I see the federal government as a service. I don't see these people as numbers. I'm gonna say it again. I look at the federal government as a service. I don't look at it as numbers. Trump is a businessman. Elon is a businessman. They look at things as unit and as numbers. Well, Pearson, where are you going to cut at? Well, people, first of all, you just don't do it without congressional oversight. This is what I see in America happening. I said it in my video last night. I got up late last night and I ran this particular video. Let me pull it up for you. I see Trump getting no pushback. This video here, Caesar is tripping. He's mouthing off again, cussing like a sailor, talking about the guy overseas. And again, I don't have no problem with them going at it. Just don't push it to the point where you have your relationship stinking before you know it, we got missiles coming this way. But I digress. The problem with this man right now is not only does he doesn't have any filter. He doesn't have statesman thinking. He's thinking more as my way, highway. Anytime you take Congress out of the loop, anytime you have drastic measures and you come in and in your mind, it's waste, fraud, and abuse, and there's no government oversight, then guess what? This is a government without without representation of Congress. This is not what we want, and if we let him get away with this, if our Congress doesn't get a backbone, if the Supreme Court doesn't get a backbone, I believe what they're doing, they're trying to jam all these things down our throat, because it's easy to put, very hard to put Humpty Dumpty back together or catch the horse once it's out the barn. I think they're trying to get everything done before the midterm. That's what I think. Because they know this is wrong. This is 1984 Orwellian type moves. You can't tell me that we have that much waste, fraud, and abuse. But like I said in other videos, Biden was just out there creating jobs, but he wasn't his own president. I believe the powers created these jobs to take them in the future because they wanted to set up territory. Do you understand? They wanted to set up territory, and then the private sector is like, man, look at all this growth that we're having in America. But they weren't looking. If you go into the actual debt clock, look at this here. United States debt clock. Here's your debt clock.
According to Wikipedia.
In real time. Right now we're 37 trillion in a hole. And counting, and counting, and counting. The reality is that people don't know how to interpret this thing. This is for real. This reflects, see, we're at a time right now, we have to look at our spending. We can't keep engaging all these international wars. You understand? In my mind, the way it's going right now, you're cutting federal jobs, services hurting. Simultaneously, you're really not spurring the whole economy, but you're spurring the IT, the AI economy. Look, people, you got to take it for what it is. I have no problem with living in the 70s and 80s and 90s when things were simple. We don't need AI for everything. The more AI you get, it's been proven, the less jobs which are out there. At some point, not only will the economy implode, people, listen to me. Not only at some point will the economy implode, there aren't any jobs out there for your everyday person because everybody's not built to be AI or computer related jobs. Everybody's not built to be a manager. So we are boxing out people. If you got 1,000 people, everybody's not computer literate. And people might argue, well, they need to pick up the speed. No, they don't. No, they really don't. You're making AI a god as we transform. But the two-headed snake, what happened is that the evil twin is going toward Revelation 13, where you can't buy or sell. Where the sensible head of the snake, let me show you what I'm talking about. Photograph of a two-headed snake. This is what you have. You have the evil one overshadowing the sensible one. There was nothing wrong with the 70s and 80s, where you had factories or, X amount of service jobs or people able to start their own business, that sort of thing. The climate right now is that people who are starting a job, it's very difficult. People who have a job, it's very difficult. And they already showed you during hard times, you're not essential. But this irrational twin here, he don't give a damn. He don't understand how to spur growth. He knows how to cut. You're a unit and you're a number. This was more sensible. At some point, this one wins. He consumes himself for the greater good of his aim. And that's what's happening. Because you're not having Congress involved, which means you're not having us involved. That's just how I feel. Put in the comment section. Now check this out.
Listen, do we have a sense of how soon that would happen?
So we're talking about federal workers from 12 different agencies. So we're talking about potentially, my understanding is not just tens of thousands of workers, but actually up to 100,000 different workers. This would be a significant restructuring of the executive branch. And again, the underlying question is whether or not the president has the power to do that without working with Congress. The president tried to do this during the first administration by working with Congress. Congress wasn't willing to do that, and therefore now the president is trying to do this by himself. How quickly could this happen? I would say that we're potentially talking about days or weeks to see some significant changes in the executive branch.
That is not much time at all. Jessica, did the justices give any kind of indication of why they went the way they did?
No, as is typical for an order like this when the justices are responding to an emergency appeal. There wasn't a vote count, there wasn't an opinion, there was a dissent from Justice Jackson, but this is known as the shadow docket or the emergency docket. When it comes to cases that are on the main docket, that's when we get those lengthy opinions that we get.
And when this head set everything up over the last 35, 40, 50 years, the infrastructure, he put things in place because this is the devil part of the twin. This is the most sensible one. This is the sensible guy here. This is the devil because he knew there would be a reaction once he starts pouncing as he gets close toward his goal. And he has a time and a rhythm nationally and internationally to create the 666B system. So he put checks and balances in government, in finance, in all these areas, and he put his people in place, including judges, that would fight for something sensible. So now they put the squeeze on you, and you have no time to really fight back. This is where we're at, people. Tell me how you feel. At my age, I see it. I see it. And people are saying, well, what happened to America? It's gone. We have the image of it, but the takeover is real. The downsizing is part of the takeover. To downsize is part of the takeover. Because freedom is connected to your pocketbook. If you got 4 pocket pants and 2 pockets are empty all the time, the other 2 pockets on your front pants can't sustain everything in your back pants. So at some point, you will take the mark of the beast. That's what they're pushing us to. And AI will then do what? Control things. Because that's where the investment is at.
Efficient to got the things that actually help the American people thrive. You know, and I love that smirk on your face. I like you, but people like us.
I'm letting you. I'm not cutting in. I'm letting you say your.
When I was campaigning, my slogan was disrupt the system. Whether you're on the left or the right, people wanted to disrupt the system, and also on the left and the right for the same reason. It was so financially, economically unfair to the majority of Americans. This man is not just disrupting the system. He and his cohort, this unelected billionaire, are destroying the system, and
they're destroying the system. A system that wasn't perfect, yet it was efficient enough to try to get things done in relation to how many people that we had. We have X amount of people going on Social Security and Medicare every day. And you're firing people in departments which already are questionable. And people, what I found out, and I haven't said in a long time, what I found out is that a lot of people who were very astute, very qualified, very experienced, they got fed up and they quit or took early retirement because now there were other people who were hired. You know how long it takes to get up to spiff, to not only learn your job or to become efficient in your job? It takes a while. And so when you have a transition like we're having now and people are quitting, you don't have the expertise that you need. So a lot of veterans are quitting because they're tired of the stress level. I'm Franchot Pearson. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. They set us up. But should Congress have a backbone? Should we really look at this thing a little bit more carefully to see if we're moving too fast? Let me know. God bless.